Are you often asked to solve others' problems, even when it's exhausting? Have you ever regretted being too accommodating? Let's face it, as we age, the expectations don't just go away, they grow. People might think you're always available to help, but what about your own needs? Imagine how liberating it would feel to say no when necessary, without guilt. Today, we'll explore how a little coldness can actually bring you peace, happiness, and healthier relationships in your golden years. After all, isn't it time to focus on you? Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about something that can truly transform your golden years, learning to embrace a little gentle coldness. At first, it might sound like we're suggesting becoming distant, but it's really about protecting your peace, your energy, and your overall well-being. As we age, the expectations from society, family, and friends don't necessarily decrease, they shift. Many people assume you'll always be available to help, listen, or take on tasks. But that constant giving can leave you drained. This episode is about flipping that script. By setting boundaries and focusing on what really matters to you, you can create a life that feels intentional and fulfilling. Together, we'll explore strategies to protect your peace, maintain your energy, and strengthen relationships without overextending yourself. Let's redefine aging, dignity, peace, and purpose. After all, don't you deserve to focus on your happiness now? Let's dive in and find out how. Let's face it, as you get older, people seem to expect more of you, not less. Whether it's family, friends, or even neighbors, you might feel pressure to take on roles you don't have the energy for anymore. Maybe it's helping with babysitting, running errands, or attending every social event. At first, it's easy to say yes to keep the peace, but over time, it drains you emotionally and physically. Does this sound familiar? The thing is, constantly overextending yourself isn't just tiring. It can lead to resentment, stress, or even health issues. And yet, the guilt of saying no can feel overwhelming. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it all. By embracing a mindset of balance and healthy detachment, you can protect your energy, focus on what truly matters, and still nurture meaningful relationships. It's not selfish, it's essential. So why not start today? 1. Staying calm in emergencies. Emergencies happen when we least expect them, and staying calm can make all the difference, especially as we age. Imagine this. You're rushing to get somewhere, and suddenly you miss a step on the curb. What might have been a minor stumble years ago could now mean a serious injury. Or consider the story of Mr. Johnson, a 75-year-old retired accountant who locked himself out of his house with his 2-year-old grandson inside. Panicked, he tried forcing the spare key into the lock, only to snap it in half. The situation escalated. His grandson was crying, Mr. Johnson was frantic, and neighbors had to call 911. Looking back, a simple pause to think could have changed everything. If Mr. Johnson had taken a moment to breathe and assess, he might have avoided making the situation worse. Staying calm during emergencies isn't just about preventing mistakes, it's about protecting yourself and those around you. When you're younger, you might recover quickly from a fall or a rushed decision, but as you grow older, the stakes are higher. A rushed response can lead to accidents, injuries, or unnecessary stress. The truth is that emergencies often feel more urgent in the moment than they really are. Learning to pause, take a deep breath, and evaluate your options can help you respond more effectively. It's a skill that requires practice, but it can save you time, energy, and even your health. Think about the last time you faced a high-pressure situation. Did you feel your heart racing, your mind spinning, or your hands shaking? That's your body's natural response to stress. But here's the thing. You have the power to control it. By focusing on your breath and grounding yourself, you can calm your nervous system and approach the situation with clarity. A great technique is the 4-7-8 method. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. This simple practice can help you reset and think clearly, no matter the circumstance. Another key to staying calm is to prepare ahead of time. Emergencies are unpredictable, but planning can give you a sense of control. Keep a list of emergency contacts handy. Know where your important documents are. and ensure your home is equipped with basic safety features like smoke alarms and easy-to-access flashlights. If you're driving, allow extra time to get to your destination so you're not rushing. Small steps like these can reduce the likelihood of panic when something goes wrong. Ultimately, staying calm is about recognizing that not every situation requires immediate action. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is pause and evaluate before you proceed. By doing so, you protect your emotional energy, make better decisions, and set an example for those around you. Remember, emergencies will happen. It's how you handle them that matters. So the next time you feel a surge of panic, take a deep breath, gather your thoughts, and remind yourself, you've got this. With practice, you'll find that staying calm isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. 2. Avoiding toxic or negative people. Not everyone deserves your time or energy, and that's okay. As you get older, it becomes even more important to protect your emotional and mental well-being by setting boundaries, especially when it comes to toxic or negative people. Picture this. You run into an old acquaintance at a community event, someone who used to thrive on gossip or always left you feeling drained. Do you really need to engage with them? Probably not. Or maybe it's a family member who always brings negativity into every conversation. You might think you're being polite by enduring their company, but what's the cost to your peace of mind? The truth is that certain people will always try to pull you into their drama or negativity, whether intentionally or not. And while it's natural to want to be kind, there's a fine line between being considerate and sacrificing your own emotional health. Let's say you've reconnected with someone from your past at a senior social. At first, it seems like catching up will be enjoyable, but soon you realize their energy is toxic. They complain constantly, criticize others, or bring up old conflicts. Instead of leaving these encounters feeling uplifted, you walk away drained and frustrated. Sound familiar? The beauty of aging is that you no longer need to put up with these interactions. You've earned the right to decide who gets access to your time and attention. Being cold in this context doesn't mean being rude. It means protecting your peace. A polite but firm response like, "I'm sorry, I can't stay and chat right now," or simply excusing yourself can save you hours of emotional exhaustion. Remember, every yes to someone else is a no to yourself. Start asking, is this interaction adding value to my life, or is it taking away from it? It's also important to recognize that some people bring toxicity into your life subtly. They may not be overtly negative, but can still sap your energy with constant demands or manipulative behavior. For example, a friend who always expects you to be available for their needs but never reciprocates. These are the relationships where setting boundaries is crucial. By creating distance, whether physical, emotional, or both, you free up space for more meaningful connections that truly nourish your spirit. Take a moment to reflect. Who in your life uplifts you and who drains you? It might be helpful to write it down, a simple list of givers and takers. Once you've identified the people who bring negativity, start practicing ways to limit your interactions with them. Maybe it's skipping a lunch date or gently steering conversations to a close. Small steps like these can make a huge difference in maintaining your emotional balance. Ultimately, avoiding toxic or negative people is about reclaiming your time and energy. You don't need to explain or justify your choices. The people who truly care about you will understand your boundaries, while those who don't probably weren't worth your time to begin with. Remember, your peace is precious, and you've earned the right to protect it fiercely. 3. Being selective with social commitments. It's so easy to say yes to every invitation, isn't it? Whether it's a class reunion, a luncheon, or a volunteer opportunity, there's always something on the calendar. At first, these activities can feel exciting and give you a sense of connection. But let's be honest, how many times have you left an event feeling drained or out of place? Maybe the reunion turned into a competition about who's more successful or whose grandkids are doing better. Or maybe you found yourself in a room full of sales pitches disguised as friendly gatherings, with people trying to sell you timeshares or miracle cures. It's exhausting, isn't it? The truth is that overcommitting can quickly lead to burnout, especially in your golden years when your time and energy are precious. It's okay to be selective with your social commitments. In fact, it's necessary. Think about it. Every yes you give to an event that doesn't bring you joy or value is a no to something that might truly matter. Like spending a peaceful afternoon reading, gardening, or catching up with a close friend. The key here is quality over quantity. Instead of trying to be everywhere and please everyone, focus on attending fewer events that genuinely enrich your life and align with your values. Let's consider an example. Imagine you're invited to a new club meeting in your community. It sounds interesting, but you notice that the people involved seem overly competitive or cliquish. You attend out of curiosity, but by the end of the event, you feel more drained than inspired. Now contrast that with another invitation, an intimate coffee date with a small group of close friends who truly understand and support you. Which one leaves you feeling more fulfilled? Chances are, it's the latter. The same applies to larger gatherings. Weddings, reunions, or charity events can be wonderful if they involve people you care about and align with your values. But if attending feels more like an obligation than a joy, it's worth reconsidering. Sometimes, the best way to preserve your peace is to politely decline. A simple, "I'm sorry, I won't be able to make it, but thank you for thinking of me," goes a long way. You're not being rude. You're being intentional about how you spend your time. Another factor to consider is the hidden pressure of certain events. Some gatherings can become platforms for boasting or comparing, leaving you feeling inadequate or judged. Others might expose you to scams or manipulative individuals who prey on trusting seniors. By being selective, you're not just protecting your time, you're safeguarding your emotional and financial well-being. So, how do you start being more selective? Begin by asking yourself a few simple questions before saying yes to an invitation. Does this event align with my values? Will it bring me joy? Do I genuinely want to go? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to decline. Remember, your time is valuable, and you've earned the right to spend it in ways that truly matter to you. By prioritizing meaningful connections and activities, you'll find yourself feeling more energized, fulfilled, and at peace. 4. Navigating family dynamics. Navigating family dynamics can feel like walking a tightrope, especially when it comes to adult children and grandchildren. As a parent, it's natural to want to offer advice or step in when you see your children making decisions you might not agree with. But here's the thing. Unsolicited advice, no matter how well-meaning, often backfires. Imagine this. You notice your child and their spouse arguing about finances or parenting styles. Your instinct might be to jump in and mediate, but how often does that actually help? More often than not, it creates tension, and sometimes it makes you the bad guy. Instead, what if you stepped back and observed, only offering advice if they explicitly ask for it? That's the essence of maintaining boundaries without being distant. Let's take a real-world example. Many older parents find themselves heavily involved in their grandchildren's lives, whether it's babysitting, helping with school pickups, or even financially supporting their children. While this involvement can be rewarding, it can also lead to burnout or unspoken resentment if it becomes overwhelming. One grandmother shared how she felt trapped because her children relied on her daily, leaving her no time for herself. When she finally had an honest conversation with her family and set some boundaries, she found a balance that allowed her to enjoy her grandchildren without sacrificing her peace. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you recognize your limits and communicate them. For instance, if your child asks for help babysitting, but you're already feeling stretched thin, it's okay to say, "I'd love to help, but I can't commit to that right now." This approach is honest and respectful, and it encourages your children to find alternative solutions without relying solely on you. Remember, boundaries aren't walls. They're guidelines that help maintain healthy relationships. Another aspect of navigating family dynamics is resisting the urge to solve every problem. It's tough to watch your children struggle, but sometimes the best thing you can do is let them figure things out on their own. For example, if your child is facing challenges at work or with their spouse, stepping in to fix things might rob them of the opportunity to grow and learn. By observing from a distance, you give them the space to develop resilience and problem-solving skills. And if things get truly dire, you'll still be there to provide support when it matters most. It's also important to manage how you respond to questions from others about your family. Nosy neighbors or friends might ask, "How's your son's job going?" Or, "Is your daughter still struggling with a marriage?" These questions can feel intrusive and even stroke emotions. A polite but non-specific response, like, "They're doing fine, thank you for asking," can deflect the conversation and protect your family's privacy. Ultimately, navigating family dynamics requires patience, empathy, and a little detachment. By setting boundaries, communicating honestly, and allowing your children to learn through experience, you can filter healthier relationships and preserve your own well-being. It's not about being cold, it's about being wise. And that wisdom can make all the difference. 5. Keeping finances private. Talking about money can be tricky at any age, but as you grow older, it becomes even more important to protect your financial privacy. Why? Because sharing too much about your finances, whether intentionally or by accident, can invite unnecessary judgment, jealousy, or even exploitation. Imagine this: a casual conversation with a friend or neighbor turns into a series of questions like, "How much is your pension?" or "How are you kids doing financially?" It's uncomfortable, isn't it? And let's be honest, it's no one's business but yours. The thing is, financial situations vary widely among seniors. Some may have robust retirement savings or pensions, while others rely solely on Social Security or part-time work. Regardless of your situation, openly discussing finances can create tension. For example, if you share that your retirement is secure, it could unintentionally make someone else feel inadequate or envious. On the flip side, admitting financial struggles might lead to pity, unsolicited advice, or even worse, someone trying to take advantage of your vulnerability. This is why being vague and polite is often the best approach. When someone asks about your financial situation, responses like, "I'm getting by just fine," or "I have what I need," are perfectly acceptable. They provide enough information to satisfy curiosity without revealing too much. Remember, you're not obligated to share details about your bank account, pension, or monthly expenses with anyone. It's okay to keep those things private. It's a matter of protecting your peace and your personal boundaries. And it's not just about protecting yourself from judgment or envy. Sadly, there are individuals out there who see seniors as easy targets for scams. Whether it's a smooth-talking stranger pushing an investment opportunity or a so-called friend asking for a small loan, being too open about your finances can make you vulnerable. One woman shared how a seemingly friendly neighbor began pressuring her to invest in a home flipping scheme after learning about her savings. The experience was stressful, and it taught her the importance of keeping financial details private. It's also worth noting that discussions about your children's financial status can be just as sensitive. Maybe your kids are thriving in their careers, or maybe they're struggling and need your support. Either way, broadcasting those situations can lead to judgment, comparisons, or even gossip. If someone asks, "How much does your daughter make as a lawyer?" a simple response like, "She's doing well, thanks for asking," is more than enough. At the same time, staying private doesn't mean isolating yourself. It's about sharing with people you deeply trust and setting boundaries with casual acquaintances. True friends and family members will understand and respect your need for privacy. If they don't, that's a sign they may not have your best interests at heart. At the end of the day, keeping finances private is about setting boundaries that protect your emotional well-being and your financial security. It's not about being secretive or unfriendly. It's about recognizing that certain topics don't need to be shared with the world. So the next time someone tries to pry, remember, you're in control of what you share. By keeping your finances private, you're safeguarding not just your money, but also your peace of mind. 6. Managing technology and social media. Technology is a wonderful tool, but it's easy to let it take over your life if you're not careful. As we age, staying connected with family and friends becomes increasingly important, and things like social media and smartphones make that easier than ever. But here's the catch. Spending too much time online can leave you feeling drained, distracted, or even overwhelmed. Have you ever opened your phone to check one notification and found yourself scrolling endlessly through posts or arguments that don't add value to your day? It happens to the best of us. The key to healthily managing technology is setting boundaries. For instance, instead of logging into social media every hour, try limiting yourself to once or twice a day. That way, you stay connected without feeling tethered to your devices. One senior I know decided to set specific technology-free hours in the evening, and she said it transformed her evenings. Now, instead of scrolling through endless photos or debates, she spends her evenings reading, listening to music, or enjoying quiet time with her spouse. Another challenge in technology is the constant flow of notifications. Emails, messages, and social media updates can pull you in so many directions that it's hard to focus on what really matters. You don't need to respond to every message immediately, and it's okay to turn off notifications for certain apps. Many people find peace in designating certain times to check their emails and messages, so they're not constantly interrupted throughout the day. Think about it. How much calmer would your day feel if you weren't checking your phone every few minutes? Social media in particular can be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's great for staying in touch with loved ones who live far away. But on the other hand, it can drag you into heated debates, misinformation, or even feelings of inadequacy when you compare yourself to others. It's important to remember that social media often presents a curated version of people's lives. It's not the full picture. Rather than engaging in online arguments or trying to keep up with everyone's updates, focus on using these platforms to maintain genuine connections. One senior told me how she uses social media solely for sharing photos with her grandchildren, and she's never been happier with how it keeps her connected without the drama. Another tip is to be mindful of how technology fits into your daily routine. Are you using it to enhance your life, or is it taking time away from the things you love? If you notice that screen time is replacing hobbies, social interactions, or time outdoors, it might be time to reevaluate. Instead, set a schedule for when you'll use your devices and stick to it. Maybe you decide to log in after breakfast and again before dinner. Whatever works for you. Ultimately, managing technology isn't about cutting it out completely. It's about finding a balance that works for your lifestyle. By setting boundaries, being selective about how you engage online, and prioritizing meaningful activities over endless scrolling, you'll find more peace and clarity in your daily life. Remember, you control the technology, it doesn't control you. Saying no isn't easy, but it's one of the most empowering skills you can develop, especially as you age. Think about how often you've said yes to something that left you feeling drained, stressed, or even resentful. Maybe you agreed to help a neighbor with a physically demanding task, even though your body was telling you to rest. Or perhaps you felt obligated to attend a family gathering where you knew the conversation would turn into financial questions or drama. It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the truth. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to your peace, your health, and your happiness. The beauty of boundaries is that they're not about shutting people out. They're about making room for what truly matters. Whether it's protecting your energy, avoiding unnecessary conflict, or simply giving yourself the space to enjoy life on your terms, saying no is a powerful way to reclaim your time and prioritize your well-being. Remember, self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. You've spent years putting others first. Now, it's time to honor your own needs. So, the next time you're faced with a request or expectation, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my values and well-being? If not, permit yourself to say no with confidence and grace. Cultivating gentle coldness is about much more than setting boundaries. It's about giving yourself the space to truly thrive in your golden years. Think about it. You've spent so much of your life giving to others, whether it was through your career, raising a family, or supporting friends. Now is the time to focus on yourself. And that doesn't mean shutting people out. Instead, it's about being intentional with your energy and time. By saying no to things that drain you, you're actually saying yes to what matters most: your peace, your health, and your happiness. This approach isn't about being cold-hearted or distant. It's about finding balance. When you prioritize meaningful relationships and activities, you open the door to a more fulfilling life. Imagine spending your days doing the things you love: reading, gardening, or simply enjoying a quiet moment with a cup of tea, without the weight of unnecessary obligations. That's the gift of embracing this mindset. It's not selfish, it's essential. Take this as a reminder that you've earned the right to live life on your terms. Reflect on where you can draw healthier boundaries and where you can let go of guilt or pressure. When you do, you'll discover a sense of freedom and clarity that makes aging a time of grace and joy. If today's episode resonated with you, now is the time to take action. Start by reflecting on where you can set healthier boundaries. Think about the relationships, obligations, or habits that no longer serve you. Share these insights with friends or loved ones. They might be struggling too. Remember, small changes lead to big transformations. And don't forget, your journey can inspire others. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay connected. Let's continue this path together, creating a life filled with peace, purpose, and joy. You deserve it.